And greetings, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Dreamscapes. Today we have with us our friend Gunnar from the north end of the UK, and we're going to talk about his dreams. So I'll just throw it over to you, Gunnar. Anytime you're ready, lay it on me.
Hello, I'm Gunnar, and I apologize for being awkward. So I'm gonna start right away with the dream. Okay, I posted my dream on the r/dreams subreddit, and I put it there. Let's start.
Mhm.
This dream is reoccurring like every 30 to 40 days. It happened to me for almost 5 times. It all starts the exact same. Super dark face, two bright eyes, and a crooked smile. These are the only features that you can see 100%. Uh, the first time when I saw it, it's just that face, nothing else. Nothing happened. But then, skip to a few months later, with the last dream that I posted on the Dream subreddit. That face told me that humans could have changed the course of the Earth with one move, but we weren't strong enough. He told me to open my eyes and watch. When I opened my eyes, I woke up for some reason in World War II, in a half-destroyed house in Germany. And there was another person who was with me wearing a mask covering half of his face. I asked, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And he told me that the Germans started World War II, and I said, "Are they called Nazis?" He told me, "No, they're called Children of the Sun and Moon." And I asked, "Is their leader called Adolf Hitler?" He said, "What? No, I'm Adolf." And that sick bastard is called. I didn't hear what he was called. That army had like steampunk slash cyberpunk vehicles. The look super rustic, like roaring engines. These vehicles were roaming the streets, and out of curiosity, I asked, "Did you go to art school as a joke?" He said, "Yeah, yes, I did." The weird thing is that this is the part that changed everything. Like I knew something happened. That the skies are still fractured and had blood red skies instead of blue. The corpses on the ground were super weird looking. They looked like semi-humans. I can't describe how they looked, but they didn't look 100% human and not human. It's just like something hybrid.
Okay.
Uh, to be honest, this is the last dream that I wrote right now, and I'm gonna search for the other one. I apologize.
Was that one entire dream? Did you wake up after seeing the kind of semi-human corpses?
Yeah, the thing that woke me up, I felt like I fell from a really high place. Like I woke up shaking. I was confused because the dream that I had like few before it, like the sky was fractured.
Okay. So
And okay,
one thing we may not have discussed previously. So for those watching, I do a little kind of pre-interview. We talk about some things, the process, how it's going to go, ethical concerns, and I usually mention that people can pick whatever dream they want, but especially when it comes to, say, recurring dreams, I like to stick to one complete instance and go through that in detail. And then kind of after we've done that, maybe go back and reference some of the other similar dreams. But in what I've discovered through my process is that maybe trying to analyze multiple different recurring dreams at once doesn't work as well. So not to cut you off or limit what you're sharing with me, but if this represents one full dream, is it okay to just focus on that first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Good deal. And as far as your description, you felt like that was as much as you could remember off the top of your head. That's the full content beginning to end.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. So, can I tear the paper? This is always a struggle. Come on. Oh no! There's a tear. Almost. Fail. There it is. Oh, it makes me sad.
It just hurts the soul.
It does. You had one job, paper. Tear properly. Page 2. Okay, so first step of the process, always just listen, get as much from what you can give as possible. Then I go back through it, start again, and we start trying to fill in some of the blanks and maybe pull a little more detail out of it. So we've already gone over the idea that it's definitely a recurring dream, and you've had it at least once a month for maybe 5 times now. It's always kind of the same, although it has changed. Like the very first dream was just the dark face, bright eyes, crooked smile. But subsequent dreams, as you were saying, always start with an image of that face.
Yeah.
As this one did. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
So I'm just going to copy over some of this. So when you say dark face, do you mean like obscured by shadow, or do you mean dark skin tone face, or how do you describe dark?
Not a dark skin tone. It's like a matte black. It's like I don't know how to describe it. A matte black face. It's like an unlockable character.
Okay.
It's like a hidden character, just a dark figure.
Okay. Are you saying that in a way that it's almost as if the entire picture is dark and all you can see are the eyes and the crooked smile?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So it's like the representation of a face without actually being like an actual human head that you're seeing with these features on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. It's way easier that you describe it like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I wanted to get a good kind of, this is also what I do too, is all these kind of nitpicky questions I go through. Can you describe that a little more exactly? Is so that I make sure I'm, as much as possible, I'm seeing what you saw. Because if we're not looking at the same thing, there's no way I can just describe it to you, or tell you what it means. And then that's the first thing you encounter when you fall asleep is the dark face with the bright eyes and the crooked smile. And when you say crooked smile, actually, let me go to the eyes first. You say bright eyes, as in like glowing, like there's a light coming from them.
To be specific, because this is what actually terrifies me.
Yeah.
Like blood red dark.
Okay.
Like dark, like it feels like it's illuminating, but it's not. It looks like it could blend with the darkness around it, but you can just see the red eyes.
Okay. And do the eyes have any particular shape to them? Like, are they, big round surprised eyes? Are they kind of squinty, suspicious eyes? Are they angry eyes? How would you describe it?
It looks normal. It's like me looking at another person, but in like the light hitting your eye. It's like slightly squinting.
Okay, slightly squinting, and do you get a sense of you could probably see me on camera if I'm looking at you like this, you could tell I'm kind of angry and I'm trying to
Yeah,
communicate my anger to you, or at least my anger is showing on my face. What emotion would you say is being communicated by the eyes?
it didn't feel like anger. It felt
Not
like
anger.
something else. Not sadness. It felt like a combination between uh, disappointment and slightly angry. That's what I felt looking at it.
Okay. Almost like the eyes were judging and
Yeah, yeah,
and
basically,
the
yeah.
judgment that something was lacking, that there was disappointment, that there was an expectation, and you or whatever that the eyes were looking at failed to meet the expectation.
Yeah, that's what that thing was telling me multiple times.
Yeah, I think it kind
Like,
of fits with what they said earlier, like humans had a chance and they failed, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
it fits, yeah. But I wanted to be clear. And then when it comes to the crooked smile, that's why I wanted to focus on the eyes too, because were the eyes and the smile congruent? Did they match each other? Was the crooked smile? When you say crooked, do you mean lopsided? It was only smiling with one half of
no,
its face.
no. The teeth were crooked. The smile had like almost like a combination between the Grinch and the clown It.
Okay,
It had the combination of their smile and the teeth were yellowish, untaken care of.
okay, and that's interesting that you'd have these slightly angry but mostly disappointed and judging eyes, but then this kind of crooked. Uh, I mean, you're describing the Grinch and the clown Pennywise from It. Those are the Grinch was malicious. You know, he was out to do harm, out to hurt people, and the clown was a predator. So that's an interesting combination of the eyes of judgment and disappointment, but the smile, the mouth of a predatory, malicious thing that seems like it is intent to do harm. Did you get that impression from the face that it meant to be harmful in some way?
When I got that dream for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
I actually felt scared
Okay.
because it's like there's no sound. I felt like I was suffocating just looking at it. Like it felt like more of a sleep paralysis demon than a nightmare. But that was like the first time I've seen that face. That what happened to me.
And then on this
But
most recent time, the one we're talking about, what was your emotional reaction to seeing that face again this time?
when I saw it, every time I see it, I just feel fear
Okay.
because these dreams, like I feel like I'm actually in there.
Okay. And the feeling of fear is a sense of like you are directly at risk of physical harm, or is it more a fear of the say judgment of this creature looking at you? You're afraid to be judged or afraid to be harmed physically?
No, physical harm.
Okay.
Like I'm feeling I'm gonna get hurt in this dream.
Okay. Gotcha.
Uh, that's what it feels like every time that this dreams happen.
Okay. So it's still kind of inspiring that same fear. That hasn't changed much over the since the first one to now.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Fair enough. And then in this particular dream, the face or the face, the eyes, and the mouth spoke to you. Did you speak first, or did you just sit there in silence and suddenly it started telling you something?
Well, all of the dreams and are the same, just like that one. This dream.
Okay.
I can't speak at first. It's like wait till you're spoken to.
Okay. And then what did it say? You said something about if you can remember almost exactly the words it used. How would you describe that when it finally did say something?
I actually wrote like 3/4 of the dream.
Yeah, if you have the
yeah.
exact quote, I'll take it. That might be relevant. The phrasing.
Okay. Okay, I found it. It told me humans could have changed the course of the Earth with one move, but we weren't strong enough. And it just told me watch, and it opened my eyes like forcefully to watch.
So I just want to be clear on the phrasing. He said humans could have changed the course of the Earth.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I made like a mistake there. Like the Earth, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's like the timeline, something.
Fair enough. No,
Yeah,
no,
I
it's
apologize.
did
It looks.
just out of curiosity, did you have the dream in English, or are you kind of trying
Yeah,
to, you did? Okay.
it's in English. Again, I apologize. English isn't my first language, and I'm trying my best.
It's okay. No, I was born in America and I've spoken English for like 43 years. I'm still trying to get the hang of it. It's English is like the worst. It's the best and the worst language. It is this melting pot. We just steal words from other languages and then they make them ours. And now suddenly it's an English word, but it's not. A great example is the idea of Schadenfreude, and other culturally specific words that we're like, I like the way that sounds. It's mine now. And so you've got all these weird rules for how things are spelled, how sentences are constructed, how words are actually used. And then you've got our cultural shit where it's like new words are being invented every day and they become popular and they're used and then they're played out and then they're set aside. No one ever uses it. I don't know if you remember the 1990s, the show In Living Color. They used to say, "Oh snap!" Nobody does that anymore. I mean, those things come and go.
You can sometimes me and my friend we would say it's ironically it's like if someone like slips, oh snap.
Yeah, and some things never go away, and then they come back sometimes, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, long story short, on English, it's fucked. You're doing great. I'm just trying to make sure I heard you correctly, and I'm writing it down properly. So, it said humans could have changed the course of the Earth with one move, MOVE, move.
Yeah, with
Okay,
one move.
with one move. And what was the rest of the sentence? Sorry.
Uh, could have changed the course of the Earth with one move, but we weren't strong enough. And he told me to open my eyes.
And he did use the word we,
No,
or did he say you
I'm talking.
or they?
It's a bit. I'm sorry. It's like. That's what he told me, and I'm talking about what he told me. It's like we
Yes.
about the human population,
Gotcha. So,
but it's not about him.
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Like, is he including himself in that judgment? Apparently not. So he's standing outside humanity, judging it as a group. So we might
Yeah.
say humans could have changed the Earth with one move, but they were not strong enough. Or
Yeah.
or was he talking more to you, but you were not strong enough?
No.
More
All
they,
the people on Earth.
all of them. Okay, gotcha. And did the face pause at all, waiting for a response before it told you to open your eyes, or did it immediately just say, "Look, I'm going to show you. Open your eyes"?
No, there wasn't any pause,
Okay.
and he didn't even say. He didn't even let me to respond to him. He just like went straight to my face and forcibly opened my eyes.
So did you have a sensation of being touched, or just the impression that your eyes were forced open by, and that forcing was coming from the face?
I just felt my eyes were forcibly opened.
Okay.
I didn't feel touched, but I just felt it like forcibly opened.
Okay. So prior to that sensation of having your eyes forcibly open, did you have the sense that your eyes were closed? Did you remember closing them?
Yeah, it's like like I was. It's like you're sleeping, and when someone put their fingers on your eyelids and open them forcibly, it's like
Okay.
that.
Okay. And that's why you described the feeling of waking
Waking up.
up, but still
Yeah,
in the dream. Okay. Forced to open eyes. And then that changed the scenery. So it's almost as if you had your eyes closed in order to see the face in the darkness and receive this message. And then when that thing was done communicating what it had to say and making sure you understood what it felt and what it was trying to communicate, it then forcibly opened your eyes and thrust you into another part of the dream where you were able to now see the mistake that it was talking about.
yeah, basically.
Okay, good deal. So that being the next like transition part of the dream, when your eyes were forced open, what did you see immediately in front of you? What was going on?
The first thing that I actually remembered because it felt like a movie scene.
Yeah.
I opened my eye. All I saw was the back of a person looking over a window while we were in a like half broken house. It's like it looked like World War II because of the weapon that I saw. That's why I said World War II. It was like an estimate.
Okay. And with dreams, very often it's like we just know where we are, and we don't know why we know, but that's
Yeah,
that understanding, that impression, that feeling of okay, this is where I am. And it's important when that happens too, because it's like it's telling you something about okay, you're in this context now. Here's what happens in that context. So yeah, you don't have to have a reason. You know, how did you know? I just knew. Okay, it's a dream. That happens
yeah.
for sure. So you said you're looking at the back of a person. This person is, oh, that's a telephone call. We are not answering telephone calls right now. I'm kind of surprised my cat hasn't. He's sleeping over there. If I start talking about him, he'll get up. Don't sleep, little buddy. Okay, so so you're looking at the back of a person who's looking out a window, and it's kind of a partially destroyed building, and you know you're in the middle of a war, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm in a
And for
bombed
some
out building.
reason, and for some reason, I knew I was in Germany for some reason.
Okay,
I don't know why.
no, fine.
It
It's
just
one of
felt
those,
like
yeah,
that.
one of those things. Also new. Excuse me. And is the impression of being in World War II time specific as well? Like you knew you were actually in the 1930s or 40s Germany.
Yeah,
Okay.
because all I've seen was um, I think it's called Panzer tanks or
Yeah.
Tiger tanks.
Yeah.
When you see them, you know you're in World War II.
Yeah. Anyone that's
I've
seen the
seen them
footage, I
just
mean, there's specific, say, uniforms, even haircuts, machines and vehicles and other different identifying features of the landscape that'll let you know this. Okay, that's what I'm watching for sure. So you did mention that. So was this person standing at the window looking out?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
a bit hunched over to peek a look from the window.
Okay.
It felt like he was like checking the surroundings.
That was going to be my next question too. What was this person doing? Why were they at the window? And it's like they were kind of peeking out carefully to get a look.
Yeah, like he was opening the curtains a bit, peeking through it.
Okay. And do you remember anything else about the room? Was the room itself partially destroyed, or what you saw was?
Yeah, I've seen wooden chairs that was riddled with bullets. The wooden floor was half broken to the ground floor.
Okay.
There was a partial rooftop, and that's all I remember from the interior.
Okay. Fair enough. That might be plenty specific enough. Um, and on the first, oh, let me do it again. Hey, oh, nice and flat.
First cut.
Spike. I don't know why that makes me so happy. It just does. Okay. um, you when on the first pass through, you described this person as having a mask on half their face.
Yeah, half their face from the nose down. It's like a bandana.
Oh, okay,
On
across here.
yeah,
Do you remember any features of the bandana, or how would you describe the mask?
it looked like I don't know how it was white, but not super white. It looked like uh, wheat color.
Okay. And do you remember? I'm mostly maybe focused on the shape of it. I mean, did it look like the coronavirus masks everyone's wearing these days, or did it look like
No,
something
no,
else?
no. Uh, when you take a head bandana and you put it on your face,
Okay,
that's
just kind of tied on like a scarf, almost like a
yeah.
bandana. Yeah. Okay. Well, bandana is a good word for it. Um, and did this person turn around and look at you or speak to you first, or did you get their attention and engage with them? How did that play out?
Just 1 second,
Sure.
because thank God that I wrote it down,
Yep.
because the drink is already getting to me. Uh,
Ah,
okay, I'm the one who started the conversation
okay.
because I didn't feel like uh, the same exact feeling when talking to that dark face.
Gotcha.
It felt like I can speak normally.
You felt more confident to speak up to this person. Not you were not afraid of
Yeah,
them. Okay.
yeah. Uh, I just asked what's going on.
I think the
Uh,
first time you described it to me, you asked what's wrong. Is that more accurate, or what's going on? Which one?
I asked what's going on
Okay.
because the first time I was trying to remember all the details.
That's okay.
Uh, Now I opened my post and it's way more accurate.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can reference your notes. That's what I could not survive without referencing mine. I couldn't do this without making notes. It's impossible. Um, Also, actually, something about writing things down helps it stick in my brain in a way that just hearing it doesn't. So, so you saw a person peeking out the window cautiously, getting a look, and you're like, "Hey, what's going on?" That's a natural question to ask. And that person then engaged with you, turned around, and gave you a response.
Yeah, like it's like he got how do I say it? Spooked a bit. He felt jumpy.
Startled by you
Yeah,
suddenly speaking.
startled.
Okay,
Yeah. Uh, when I asked him, he told me that the German started World War II. I said, "Oh, uh, started World War II," and I said, "Are they called Nazis?" He told me, "No, they're called Children of the Sun and Moon." And I asked, "This is when I'm in Germany, World War II. I must ask if Hitler is the leader or not. And I asked, is their leader called Adolf Hitler? He said, what? With a confused tone. No, he told me, I'm Adolf, and that sick bastard is called, and I didn't hear anything because it felt like a bomb went next to, like nearby.
Okay.
Do you want me to continue, or do you have
Oh,
any questions?
I do have questions. Yeah, I'm trying to write down the sequence of the interaction as much as I can of the direct quotes, and
Okay.
organize my thoughts on that. Thank you for pausing. Yeah. Um, okay, so just to go through that again briefly. You speak suddenly. He's startled. He didn't realize you were there, and
Yeah.
you're like, "What's going on?" He says, "The Germans started World War II," and you're like, "Okay, are they Nazis?" And he says, "No, they're called the Children of the Sun and Moon." And when you heard that, did you have any sense of, or did you have any emotional response to that difference? Like, were you surprised? Were you like, huh? Or did it just feel natural? Like, oh, of course.
No, it didn't feel natural.
Okay.
Because I know like World War II plus Germany
Yeah. It's kind of
equals
automatic in your mind.
yeah. I was confused.
That's why I wanted, yeah, that's why I wanted to get a
That's why
sense
I
of
asked.
that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in the dream, you hear information that is contradictory to what you would experience in your waking life. And it might feel weird, like that's not what I remember. Or it might feel completely normal, like, oh, yeah, of course. How could I forget? But it is perhaps important that you're like, okay, this is different. That's not the way it should be, or not the way I remember it. Um, and so naturally, you would ask, well, is their leader Adolf? And then he looks surprised and he's like, no, I'm Adolf. So you're actually standing there in like an alternate historical timeline where Adolf Hitler is not the leader of the people that started World War II. He's this guy in this room with you, and he's telling you about the other people who actually did start the fight.
Yeah, basically, but I
Okay.
didn't hear what they're called.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the
The
next thing I
actual
wanted to make
leader.
sure is that he said, no, I'm Adolf. The leader of the Children of the Sun and Moon is, and as he's saying that word, this bomb goes off nearby and obscures the name of the
Yeah,
person. So he said
yeah,
it, but you couldn't
basically.
hear it.
Yeah,
That's interesting too. That's kind of fascinating. There's something going on there with uh, the idea that that would be obscured on purpose by the dream. I don't know what it means, but I think there's something that's an interesting point. Um,
it felt really specific. Why that bomb went out when Adolf.
mm-hmm.
So wrong saying his name like past friend.
Yeah,
Uh,
I kind of love alternate history, take like in novels and whatnot too. This idea that maybe if things had gone differently, some of the people that became hated universally around the world for their choices, they could have been someone else. They could have been
yeah,
better. They could have been a friend. It's almost like relationships has gone bad. If things had just been different, we'd still be together. My ex and I, that kind of thing. There's a kind of sense of longing or regret for that things couldn't have turned out better. I wish it did. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So yeah. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with saying hey, I had a dream where I went back in time and I was friends with Genghis Khan, and I said, how about maybe not slaughtering and raping a bunch of people? And he said, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Well, that's would actually change our history
Big
to
time.
something else.
That, which is also very strange. It's like we look at where we are today in the world and we wish that certain terrible things in the past had not happened. But if they didn't, we would not be exactly where we are. We'd be somewhere different. Would it be better or not that we would take a different path? Maybe some of those horrible things, and this is awful to say, but I think about it all the time in terms of my own life. Maybe some of the awful things that happened to me, even if I could go back and change them, maybe I shouldn't, because I don't know where I would end up. I don't know if I would be in the same place. And I like where I'm at right now. So and you put that on a macro scale with the entire world, and it's like, is where we are right now a good place such that all the bad things that happened, we would not change them even if we could? That's a tough question, and a lot of people feel differently about it. But knowing that literally taking a different path changes your present it's a huge question, open to wide debate. But I love the idea. So anyway, I could just ramble on all kinds of shit for hours. Sorry, I don't want to take it away from your dream too much.
No, it's okay, because actually about like the timeline shift, it's actually related to my dream.
Mm-hmm.
This dream is like a direct continuation to the past dream.
Good.
That's why.
Yeah, I want to get to that. For sure. Once we kind of get to the end, then we can kind of connect those dots and put it in context of the bigger picture. So that bomb went off. How close was it?
Of like 200 to 300 yards. It felt like close, but not too close.
So the bomb didn't hit your building, but it was close enough to be loud such that it would obscure the name. And then,
basically.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Just
why did I say?
You can also bless me. You can wish me Gesundheit, just good health. I love saying that.
I wish you good health.
Yes. Coughing, sneezing, it's all good. And in terms, there was a little gap that I left here on purpose to separate ideas. You then started mentioning seeing things on the street, the vehicles, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what happened sequentially immediately after he spoke the name of the person that got obscured by the bomb? What did you do physically in the dream? Did you then leave the building, or did you go to the window and look out?
No. He was he went back. I'm sorry if I'm leaving out a bit of detail because I'm trying to remember it on top of my head.
Yeah, it's okay.
I remember him just going back to the window and me just like turning around and seeing like from like the open area from where the partially broken down like house. It's like an open place. You can.
You were able to say like a piece of the wall was missing and you could look out onto the street?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. And that's when you recall seeing different vehicles and describing them?
Yeah, it felt a bit weird. It felt like super futuristic or super like cyberpunk. Not 100%.
You said steampunk originally.
Yeah, steampunk / cyberpunk. It's like a mixture between them.
Okay.
Big, while like they're driving, it feels like they're coal rolling, like coal is leaving out from the exhaust, like dark smoke.
Okay. Are you able to give kind of a visual representation of one of the vehicles? So you're talking about this dark, thick smoke belching from it, engines really roaring.
Yeah.
How about the shape of the vehicle?
It's like a mixture between a World War I tank and another vehicle that I don't know how to describe. Like it looks like two triangles, end to end, and the tips are rounded off.
Okay.
It's like low to the ground. It could fit like 5 people.
Interesting. I don't know if you have in mind or an image in your memory of the front, like what they call a cow catcher on a train? Was it like a scoop type of thing on the front of it to like move bodies?
No, no.
No.
It felt like not not the train triangle. I don't know what's that called. It felt like the ice remover, snow remover.
Okay, gotcha. More of a almost like like the front of a bulldozer.
Yeah, basically, but a small one. So like they can, from what it looks like, they remove like rocks, so it can move smoothly.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I just wanted to get an idea of kind of what strange sights you saw. Um, eh, how many vehicles were there? What were they doing? Were they actively clearing rubble as they moved? Was it just one of them? Were there a dozen in a row? How would you describe that?
It felt like uh, 12, 13, like not behind each other. It's like two in the front, one is like 100 yards over, like away from them. It's it's like a scout team.
So
That's what.
some of them were together, but they were also spread out all over the place.
Yeah,
Okay. And you saw them moving. Were they
yeah,
engaged in any fighting, or just, you said, scouting?
yeah. They're just like moving.
Okay. And then did anything else happen with that scene you were observing before you turned back to talk to the man at the window again?
No, but after talking to him,
Yeah.
then I realized that something was off with the outside world because at first it felt like supernatural, and not supernatural. It felt like normal thing. It's like, oh, this looks like an everyday day.
Okay. So you had the impression or the feeling that everything was normal, but then you looked out the window and you're like, wait, this is not normal.
Yeah, basically, when I looked, like after talking to that guy, I looked through the window and saw it didn't look normal.
Okay. So it's almost like before making a direct observation, everything seemed fine. And then once you looked a little more closer, you're like, wait, this is strange. That's when you
Yeah,
had the realization. Okay. And then that was the point when you, oh, here we go again. Ah, ah, ah. Yeah. Bam. Four. And then that's when you turned back to speak to the man at the window again?
yeah. For some reason, I felt like saying it as a joke. I just, I just like asked, and out of curiosity, I asked him, "Did you go to art school?" He said, "Yes, I did." That's what actually surprised me, that I actually got a response from a joke.
And he took it seriously. You're like,
Yeah.
you're kind of teasing. You're like, hey, let me, like elbow in the ribs. Haha. Hey, did you go to art school? And he says, and he
Yeah,
took it seriously. And he says, yes, I did.
yeah, and that's what actually happened.
Okay. Matter of factly. What, what am I trying to say? What kind of happened next after that? Was there more conversation or?
No, after saying that, the window was not the window, the curtain was slightly open.
Uh-huh.
That's when I realized, like, the outside world doesn't look like our normal outside world.
Okay. Okay. And you had mentioned that was the moment that you actually saw the sky. being read through
Yeah.
the window, or did you notice it when you were looking at the vehicles on the ground?
No, I didn't notice because I was
Okay.
way more focused on the actual vehicles than the sky.
Okay, so it was looking through the window past the man at the window that you saw, oh, wait, the sky is red.
Yeah, but not only red. It was, and I quote, "till fractured."
And
It's
fractured.
like a cracked window. You can see like cracks
So
and fractured.
the sky itself appeared to have cracks, as if the sky was a
Yeah,
surface and it was a cracked surface, fractured.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Almost being like on the inside of a snow globe.
Yeah, when you have a cracked window, you can see like all these different patterns.
Yeah. Kind of spider
There's
webbing.
like yeah, like all over the sky.
Okay. Um, Clouds.
No clouds.
No clouds, just this kind of red. And how would you describe the red? Like the red of a sunset or
No, blood red.
blood red?
It looks like. Do you know when the blood is like out for a few minutes, it turns a bit like velvet red, like
Yeah.
dark. Yeah,
Yeah, like a
exactly
dark.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, dark blood red.
Did you see a sun or any source of light?
No,
Okay.
I didn't see it.
Interesting. So after you had that image of looking through the window and seeing the sky like dark velvety red blood and these cracks, fractured spider webbing in the sky, what happened immediately next?
Uh, I immediately like looked down on the streets. I just saw like corpses all over the place.
So now you're back to looking out the broken wall.
Yeah,
Okay.
because when I was in the dream, I said, "Oh, maybe this is just like how do I say it? Maybe the window is fractured. Maybe." I was doubting myself for a second. I said, "Oh, maybe the window is like wrong. Something wrong with the window." So I looked at the opening in the wall, still blood red, and still has a fractured sky, and the corpses.
Hmm.
I don't know how to
If if
describe
if
the
I
feeling.
pause you there for just a second, sorry.
Okay.
You look through the window and you're like, I'm not sure I'm seeing this correctly. Maybe it is the window that is giving this distorted impression that the sky is red and cracked. So you look out the wall and you could actually see the sky out of the wall too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're able to look, say, more directly, not through the filter of a window, and just through open air. And you're like,
Yeah.
nope, I confirm it looks the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, good. And I didn't want to stop you, rather, I hate to interrupt. You were going to go on to, so you look at the sky and then you look down at the street again. Are the vehicles still there? Or have they moved on?
Yeah, they're still there, but and they're still moving. But they didn't care that I was standing and looking at the ground,
Okay.
at the corpses and all the bodies on the ground.
So they seem to ignore you. They had no reaction to your presence.
Yeah, or
Okay.
they didn't notice.
Now, when you say you're standing there looking, did you leave the building at any time? Or this is all you're observing from inside this one room?
Just from that one
Okay.
room.
But
I
you could
didn't
see
leave that
straight
room.
out onto the street in front of you. Were you
Yeah.
elevated, or was this a ground floor room?
This was it felt like the second or third floor. It
Okay.
felt like a bit of a high place.
So close enough to see the ground relatively clearly, but still
Yeah,
elevated.
yeah, basically.
Gotcha. Good deal. Okay, so I keep interrupting you. Sorry, you were going to describe the corpses,
No,
and
it's okay.
yeah, in your first time through, you said something like these are not 100% human. They look like some kind of
Yeah.
hybrid. So how would you describe that?
Us humans, we have like 5 fingers. They have like four and a conjoined pinky finger. That's what I
Okay.
noticed at first. There was no, they didn't have noses. Their mouths were slightly bigger than ours. Like no facial hair.
Okay.
Their skin color looked like slightly blue. It didn't look like when I saw them, I felt like that's 100% not human.
Okay. Did you get an idea or an impression, a feeling at the time of who those creatures were? Like, were they soldiers? What I'm trying to. Whoa! So many telephone. I don't know anybody in New York. Stop it. Why's New York calling me? Um, did you get the impression that these were the creatures that were in the tanks, or that these were the inhabitants of the cities that were killed by the tanks? What was your understanding?
I uh, I don't know 100%,
Okay.
but I didn't see any type of soldiers. Like I didn't see any soldier come out of the tank or anyone like walking with the tank. No one was there, just like the tanks were moving. And when you look at these bodies, they're wearing like civilian clothes.
Okay.
Me and that guy, we looked 100% human, but these weren't. And
Okay.
the thing that was stuck with me was they had like pointy teeth for some reason instead of like regular teeth. That's why I said that they're not 100% human.
For sure.
On top of being blue with no nose and
Yeah.
two
It's
pinkies.
kind of a big deal. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
was there anything about these creatures that reminded you of the face at the beginning? Any
no,
similarity? No, completely different.
no,
No relation.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
That face just, their faces just like it's like when I see them, it's like slightly scared. It's like seeing something new,
Sure.
that a new creature know about, like straight staring at you face to face.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was
That's
definitely something
yeah,
unexpected. You think you're in on Earth in World War II, and wait a minute, the events aren't playing out the way I remember. And these creatures, what are these? These aren't humans. And the tanks,
yeah.
weird cyber steampunk looking. These things are all different. Um, and the next thing I wrote down. Oh, did you ever see any of those hybrid creatures alive walking around, or everything you saw was corpses
Mm,
dead?
no, like the living things that I saw were me, that guy, and the tanks. That's all I saw because
Okay.
maybe that's all I saw. And
Okay.
I just want to add one more thing
Sure.
about these creatures. They were wearing civilian clothes,
Uh huh.
like from the 30s, 40s.
Okay.
It's like a normal village.
Okay, it's like the females in a dress and the males in a suit, maybe with a fedora hat, kind of 1930s,
No,
40s looking.
it's like a regular clothing, not like business attire.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, and then the next thing I wrote down was the feeling of falling from a high place that startled you awake. Did you remember how
Yeah,
that feeling came to you, or did it just you're standing there in this building, and suddenly the sensation of falling and you woke up? Did something else happen?
yeah, just that sensation that woke me up.
Okay. Um, just to focus on that feeling for a moment, I have, and I believe the common expression or the medical terminology that might apply and may not apply, but there's a phenomenon called a hypnagogic jerk. Does that sound familiar?
When your brain jerk give you like a jolt to wake you up because the heart might stop or something like that.
I'm not sure, and I haven't looked up at this in a while, but it describes a very familiar, specific phenomenon that I am familiar with, that I've experienced many times, which is like I'm laying in bed and I'm just starting to fall asleep, and suddenly I get the physical sensation throughout my entire body that I'm falling, and then I jerk. My
Yeah,
whole body does a
yeah,
twitch, like
I
I'm trying
know.
to, like I'm falling and I need to respond to catch myself before I get hurt. Is that the feeling that you had in the
Yeah,
dream? Okay. So this might have been, that particular portion might have been related to you're actually kind of coming out of sleep, heading towards consciousness. You get this actual physical sensation in your body, and that snaps you out of your dream. That's what it seems like.
yeah. Basically, it's like
Okay.
falling from a really high place and just like jerk awake.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's kind of that's how I took it, but I wanted to make sure that I had that impression. Um, okay, we got through the dream. So as usual, it's just the telling me the story takes like 5 minutes, and then going back through it takes an hour. Sorry about that. Uh,
Wait, it's been an hour?
it's been, yeah, a grand total of an hour since we started. It doesn't hardly feels like it, right? We just you can
Yeah.
really focus down on this experience. And I mean, I've had some of these videos go, 40 minutes. Sure, we talk about it quick, bing bang boom, it's over. I've had some go 2.5 hours. It's completely random. It depends on how much content there is, how much we get sidetracked talking about just interesting stuff. Um, so uh, so we've gone through. You told me the dream, and I wrote it down. We've gone through a review of my notes and more, like phase two. Let's drill down. Let's get a little more specific about the chronology, about the
Yeah.
sights and sounds. And before I get into trying to offer my impressions, I like to ask people, okay, now that we've gone through it twice and in great detail, do you have or did you experience during that process insights, connections, eureka moments that gave you additional understanding from your own perspective?
To be honest, all I felt was I felt fear. I was scared for my life. It felt so real. If I get hurt there, I might get hurt in real life. That's how it felt. That's how realistic it felt.
Okay, and that's that is an impression that, or the experience you had during the dream. But now you're after the dream and you're looking back on it, and we've gone through it in all these details. In the process of pulling out these extra details in the sequence of events, did anything occur to you about the meaning, about why that particular image occurred, or you don't have to have an answer, but I like to ask people if they had their own thoughts first before I start making suggestions, because I don't want to put ideas in your head if you already have your own.
To be honest, what, in my opinion,
Hmm.
was like it's like the butterfly effect.
Like the
Like
movie.
one. No, no, it's like when you change one thing, it can branch out to 1,000 branches. Like each branch has like a timeline on its own.
Okay. That is interesting. Yes, I do. So I mentioned the movie because that's actually the movie explores that concept. But you're talking about more just the general concept. A butterfly flaps its wings in Australia. There's a hurricane in Thailand, and they're connected.
Yeah.
But it's that small event that then sparks something else that makes a big change or big effect on far away. And that's kind of the feeling that's a concept that comes to mind in relation to this dream.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe now would be a good time to talk about, say, how some of the other similar reoccurring dreams changed over time, brought you to this one. What would be your thoughts on that? Or
Okay.
Yeah.
Currently, I only have like 2 dreams that I submitted to r/dreams.
Okay.
That thank God that I wrote, because like I've 3/4 of all of the dreams, but these specific things.
Sure. And we don't have to get too specific into every little detail of those other dreams, but just broadly, how did it progress? How did it change? Like, where did it start? You said like the first one was just the face and you woke up,
Yeah.
nothing else. And then how about the next one, the one after that?
Okay. After that, it felt like it's like really in the past. It felt like really, really old times, and like I can see like a Colosseum.
Okay.
It felt, yeah, that old.
Did you also have experiences with the face speaking to you, or that didn't
Yeah,
happen until the most recent dream?
no, every single dream, all my recurring dreams that I'm talking about, it's starts with that face.
Okay. And does it always say the same thing to you?
No. The dream I'm talking about right now, it didn't say anything.
Okay, so just the face, same expression,
Yeah,
and it pops you into another historical event or
yeah,
time period.
yeah, basically. In a really old place, and the skies were normal. That's one of the changes that will happen in the future.
So in this
Uh,
second instance, which was the first time you were then, say, thrown into an alternate time or place,
yeah.
was it also a war setting?
No,
Okay.
it felt peaceful. It
Okay.
felt like super peaceful. Like you can hear children laugh. For some reason, I actually could smell flowers. I don't know why.
Okay. That's a pretty rare phenomenon in dreams in general. Like most people see images. Some less people also hear sounds. Less people also hear. I'm sorry. Smell anything. Less people taste anything. And what was it? Almost nobody. No, I got that all wrong. Anyway, like smell and taste are at the bottom of the list. It's usually seeing, hearing, or touching things. But smell is very, very rare. So, anyway, I spent too long talking about something, but it just surprised me. Like,
Yeah,
you smelled something in your dream. That's fantastic.
yeah. It smelled like pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah. All of these ideas reinforcing that this is a good place, a nice place, a place
Yeah,
you would want to be, or maybe a place worth preserving in its goodness all around. So you got those sights and smells to reinforce that.
yeah, basically. But unfortunately, I don't have a continuation to that dream because I forgot the rest of it because
That's
I've been
okay.
woken up really fast.
Yeah, no problem. And then how about the next one? How did that play out? Just
Okay,
in general.
this is the creepiest one because it felt so wrong. There's nothing like super serious,
Sure.
but it felt so wrong.
It was a feeling of wrongness. You say it felt wrong
No,
or
it
long.
just felt like there's something wrong here.
Something wrong. Okay.
It's not right.
Okay. So then in the second one,
Uh,
again the experience of the face, and then you're in a place where something felt wrong. What
yeah,
was the kind of place?
but this dream where he started talking, that face.
Okay. Do you
That's
remember
why I said it felt wrong.
roughly what it said?
No.
No.
Uh, oh, I heard you. I heard you saying, "Was it rumbling?" Sorry. Yeah, I heard what it said.
What did it say this time? The first time it spoke?
1 second.
Sure.
Sorry. Okay. That face, but it talked for the first time. It said, "Humans made a mistake." I asked, "What did we do?" It said, "You shouldn't have killed him." Uh, Now I'm confused about what it's talking about. And it said, "I'll let you witness what happened."
Okay.
All I heard was a snap and saw they were crosses and people were watching what's going on. That's why I'm telling you it felt wrong.
Okay. So it put you into a time. Did you get I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is Jesus. Is that you felt like you were being shown the death of
That's
Jesus?
what I'm gonna talk about. That's what I'm gonna talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
And I posted this 2 months ago.
Yeah.
When you like imagine people when Jesus was there at that time, you'd see their old clothes, mostly poor people,
Sandals and robes.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see the Romans, I think. I'm not a history buff.
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
The red robe and the brass chest shield.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very identifiably like Roman soldiers at the time.
That's what I remember.
Gotcha.
All I heard was a snap, then saw that there were crosses and people were watching what's going on, and I saw that most recognizable death in history.
Yeah.
Now I'm still confused and asked, why did it show me that? It said, "Watch." As the spear stabbed Jesus, literally everything was normal. But the sky turned blood red.
Okay.
That's why I told you this is like related to a past dream.
Gotcha. And it's the same then red sky you see in the later dream looking out of the fractured building. Okay. Was there a third dream that came between that one and the next one?
No. I can't remember. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. Yeah, either you can or you can't. It's not critical.
You can hear the horns from the sky. The earth was shaking, screaming, cries everywhere.
And this was in the crucifixion dream after the spear pierce turned red, and you hear horns in the sky and the earth shaking.
Yeah, not like at that same moment. There was like a few seconds after like his blood like seeped on the spear. Everything went to shit. Sorry.
That's okay.
You can hear screaming, cries everywhere. you can see the sky splitting up. This is where the fractures I was talking about.
Okay.
Uh, that's all I remember, to be honest. That's what I wrote too.
Okay, fair enough.
Uh,
Now adding in that additional context of kind of the sequence of events, are you getting any other impressions of broad meaning, themes? Again, I'm not trying to put this all on you, but I don't want to start suggesting things when maybe you've got the beginnings of an idea we should focus on, and I can help you develop it, or you got nothing and I'll just start throwing my ideas at you. It's completely up to you.
it it felt like uh, I'm not 100% religious, but
Hmm.
it felt like God was a bit merciful on us after Jesus died,
Hmm.
after the crucifixion, because what I think, if he wasn't merciful, that would happen. Like this guy splitting up, the horns of the apocalypse will start, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
That's
exactly
what it
what it
felt
sounded like.
like.
Yeah, for sure. And then relating that, I mean, now that you kind of think of it in context, does the face that you're scared of, the face in the dark, the blood red eyes, and kind of the crooked, dirty smile, does it have a godlike feeling to it, or
No,
something else?
it felt like I don't know how to explain that feeling. A close friend, but a hated enemy.
Interesting.
That's what it felt like. It felt like I can tell him my deepest, darkest secrets, but I still hate him.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That's I kind of get that impression too, that this is when you say close friend, you almost feel there's something familiar about it. There's something you understand about it. It's like a known thing, even though it also feels like something dangerous and something you should be afraid of. Does that make sense?
It didn't felt it didn't felt like I'm gonna die if I speak to it. It didn't feel like 100% dangerous. Like
Yeah.
uh,
You described feeling
it's a really weird feeling.
more that the creature was, or the face was slightly on the angry side, but it was mostly this disappointment and definitely a feeling of judgment is what you were getting from it. That's why I kind of went to the God place, because I mean, and I don't want to put these ideas in your head, which is why I was asking about it, but it's it's definitely an extremely powerful supernatural force that can make your eyes open, take you through time, show you things. You had a sense
Didn't
of
feel like that. It really didn't feel like he's all powerful.
okay,
It felt like I don't even know how to explain it. It felt like he's just showing me. He didn't like 100% reverse time. He's like just putting me in the place of someone else
yeah,
and with watch through the eyes of that person.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, and again, this is why I don't want to put ideas in your head. If something resonates, if you're like, yeah, that's exactly what it is, fine. If it's not, then I'm wrong. But I think there is something important about you creating this image, and this image having these qualities, and these qualities of the thing making it want to show you specific things historically, and how things could have been different. So it doesn't have to necessarily be God or an agent of God or anything related to God. But it is definitely something supernatural that has power, and has the what am I trying to say? It's something that exists outside of being human. You didn't get the impression that it
Yeah,
was human, and
it
that
wasn't.
yeah, and that it is not only capable of observing, but has its own ideas of what is good and right, and it's looking at our history and our choices with judgment, and it's trying to help you understand why it reached that negative judgment of you screwed up.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
Like it felt like a spectator. Like football or basketball spectators, they would be just like shouting from the seats, telling
sure.
them, "Oh, you should have done this. Oh, you should have thrown that ball to the other person."
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Okay.
But
So
it didn't feel.
definitely an
Like
accurate observer, like an observer, but one that is seeing the truth and trying to share that understanding, that vision with you.
yeah,
Okay.
like it felt like they can see something else than like our outcome. Like the example of the basketball, when you are in court, you can't focus 100%
Sure.
on who's around you and who you can throw the ball. But if you're a spectator or watching from a TV, you can say, "Oh, that person is free, throw it to them." That's
Yeah.
what it felt like.
Gotcha. Like a neutral, a third party, not involved in the direct what's going on. Someone just able to see from the outside and has a
Yeah.
better view of the big picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't do anything inside our bubble.
Hmm.
It's like from outside the bubble.
So you also had the feeling or impression that this thing was able to observe but not able to influence directly. It could show you things, but it can't
Yeah,
take a direct hand. It can just let you know. It could just convey information.
yeah, that's how it felt
Okay.
because, like I said, it put what I felt. It's like putting me like what I felt putting my soul into someone else to look through their eyes.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, but it didn't feel like he's taking my whole body and everything that
Moving you through
makes
time.
me. Yeah, it
Interesting.
didn't change the time. It just took my eyes and put them inside of like someone else, like
Yeah.
to make me see from their perspective.
Very cool. Yeah. And I think there is something important also to the idea of the sequence of these dreams changing. Like the first thing it wanted to show you was a peaceful, ideal time before a mistake, before something went wrong that changed things for the worse. Then the next dream was, here's the thing that happened that changed for the worse, and it was represented in this death of Jesus motif. And then the next dream it shows you again was, and here's the consequences. You've got
Yeah,
this war, so it seems to be developing. So if I were to try to put this in my understanding, this is all happening in your head. These are all representing how you look at the world and how you're trying to understand the world. So in a sense, the face is you, and you are the characters in your dream in a lot of ways, or at least they represent different ideas in your head. So there's your waking mind that is you, that observes, analyzes, processes thoughts, tries to understand and come to conclusions. And then in your dreaming mind, you've got this kind of idea of a neutral third party observer that can give you yourself information, but then you have to take action. So it's disconnected. It's a part of you that's attempting to
like
be.
the subconscious.
It's a part of you that's an advisor, but is not the decision maker. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like follow your heart.
In a way, yeah. And this in a broad strokes, my impression of this kind of sequence of events is there's something going on that you're trying to understand, and you've got part of your mind saying, "Let me show you these things that relate to that problem," and it's thinking in metaphors about the type of problem you're observing and attempting to make a decision about, and you're trying to think your way through what is the nature of the problem and what is the consequences of my decisions. Is that kind of making sense in broad strokes?
Slightly.
Do you
It
have
didn't
any
feel.
do you have any events in the past month or two over the course of these dreams that is a kind of long-term, ongoing, unresolved issue in your life? Something you're trying to take your time
Yeah.
thinking through?
mm, Yeah, I'm actually battling depression,
Oh,
and plus a death in our family,
yeah.
my grandma, and it's all like buried down inside, and I'm trying to like just like force a smile, but
Gotcha.
maybe like you said, my brain is like, wake up, wake up.
Maybe.
Uh,
Yeah, could be. It probably does want to. It wants a solution. I mean, what is it? Pain is a motivator, and like if you hold your hand over a fire, pain's gonna let you know your body's being damaged, and the pain will keep getting worse until you take your hand out, until you make a change. Pain forces change. So if you're in pain, it's going to force you to focus on what is the cause emotionally, and how do I resolve it? How do I get out of pain? It's the reason pain exists, basically, is to motivate positive change. Um, so did these dreams occur for the first time after the relative died, or after you realized you were struggling with
no,
depression?
no.
No.
I've been like that first dream. I actually had it when I was really young, and I was like 9 years old.
Wow.
But then it happened again, the exact same dream, like a few months ago.
Okay.
Like from that day till now, it's just like uh, it's either no dreams or nightmares or this
Okay.
reoccurring dream.
Well, it seems so. So why do we have specific imagery in our dreams? It's generally related to something we're experiencing in real life, and it's our mind's representation of that idea. So there's probably something you experienced at around 9 years old that crystallized this face in your dreaming mind as representing something specific, and it came back now or recently because something similar to that representation is a more immediate concern. Does that make sense?
Not 100% sure. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
My words fail me sometimes too. So, let's say in a more concrete sense, just for an example, if you survive drowning 10 years ago, and that night you have a dream of an angel swooping down to lift you out of the water, and that's the dream image. Um, 10 years later, you could have the return of that angel because you're having another life circumstance where you're not physically drowning, but it feels similar to being overwhelmed and helpless and suddenly being rescued. So sometimes those images in our dreams are representative of a concept and linked to some specific experience from the past. And then when a similar situation occurs again, that specific image comes back to say, hey, remember, this is just like that other thing in some way. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, it makes more sense, but unfortunately, I can't remember what
When you were nine
happened
years
to me
old.
when I was nine.
Yeah. And it didn't have to be something major. Like a lot of people think trauma has to be you survived a drowning, you survived kidnapping, you survived a divorce. It can just be a specific image that represents a concept in general. And from what I'm getting from you, this concept of the face is a neutral third party judge, almost like when you pick a goal, it has certain conditions, and you know whether or not you achieve the goal based on whether or not those conditions are achieved. And that goal becomes a judge. It becomes a neutral third party judge where, if your goal is to run a mile, the judge is, did you get to the 1 mile point? And the judge is neutral. It just says you got here, you ran for a full mile or you didn't. And the judge doesn't care. It doesn't have a personhood. It's not a living thing. The judge doesn't care whether you ran the mile or not. It just tells you whether or not you actually ran the mile. Did you get to the goal? So it seems like this face is this neutral third party judge, which is kind of why I related to like a godlike figure. Like God is a judge. God judges, did you do good or bad? Did things work out well or not? Just that concept. But that's not how you're feeling it. So it doesn't have to have a religious context to it. But it does seem like a neutral third party judge that is just trying to tell you there are choices. Choices have consequences. Here's and it's giving you this before the mistake, the act of the mistake, and the consequences of the mistake. Over across these 3 different dreams, and they're coming back because you're still processing the same concept broadly in your life. I ran out of words. I was going somewhere with that. What do you think? I mean, are you? And then you mentioned, when I said that, you mentioned depression and the death of a relative. How, when you kind of overlap those ideas, what I've been talking about and what you've experienced, does something make sense? Does it tickle a sense of meaning for you? Does something feel related, connected?
Yeah, because before the death of the relative, like I was already diagnosed with depression, and I always felt so low. But that death of that relative, like pushed me down even under,
Yeah.
way under, and it felt like a struggle trying to come back up. And these nightmares started to get like creepier and worse. That's how it felt.
So
It's like the teaching by fear. That's how I feel like.
okay. Was it after the death of this relative that the face took you to the crucifixion scenery?
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Okay, fair enough. And that makes sense. That's probably related. These are very impactful life events. You were close with this relative?
Yeah,
Or did you look to them as
it's my grandma.
did you look to them as a source of wisdom, strength, stability in the world? Someone you could always turn to and they knew what to do. They would support you and give you good advice?
Yeah, if my mom or my dad like couldn't help me with something in life, like with my emotions, I would go to her and ask her.
So there was this source of strength, reassurance, stability, and it was just suddenly taken away from you, leaving you less stable, less secure, less strong. No one less person to turn to if you had a problem. Yeah, that's pretty traumatic. That's a huge thing, and that would definitely bring back the image of, say, this third party judge face that is not fearful, that you are afraid of disappointing in a way. I don't know if that makes sense. You don't fear being physically harmed, but you fear being judged insufficient, inadequate, false, wrong by this face.
No, like it feels like a bit of both.
Okay.
It's like you're just like looking at someone for a really long time without talking. You would feel like that creeped out, scared feeling.
Okay. It's just kind of staring at you like, what the hell?
Yeah, for
Gotcha.
that, what it felt like hours. then the speaking that face talks.
Okay.
Then when it talks, I would feel physical danger instead of mental danger.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, there is something almost magical about the act of speech, and it is an action. There's like, you know, what am I trying to say? Since we're doing all kinds of biblical reference anyway, there's the spoken word being an act of creation in a way. Not only are you creating your thoughts into sound waves, but those sounds we make to each other have an impact on other people's emotions, their choices, their behavior. So, you know, there's something different from going from thinking to speaking, which is an action, versus thinking, which is kind of an action, but it takes place in a place that is no place, so to speak. Ideas just exist separate from doing something physically. I was going somewhere with that too. But it is important that, yeah, so this face looks at you, sees you. It's an uncomfortable scrutiny. It's really just staring and looking at you, and then suddenly action. It speaks and things change. The scenery changes, your experience changes with that speaking. I think there's something in there. Yeah. And and I think there's something important to the sequence of events too, and there's probably, as you say, you're not particularly religious. You wouldn't consider yourself a Christian or anything?
I'm half Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah, not 100%. I still follow all the rules, but the other rules I wouldn't follow them.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
But you don't, like some people's spiritual faith is extremely important to them. They have a strong feeling about it. You're kind of just going through the motions. This is my culture. This is what we do. But you don't particularly feel connected to it or feel like it's an important motivator for you.
No, I actually I pray a lot.
Okay.
I read the Quran every day, pray every day, and continue praising the Lord every day, nonstop. It felt like something close to my heart. It's like feeling like talking to my grandma, but it's not like the exact same
Not the
thing.
same. Yeah. God's not talking back. Can't hold your hand and tell you everything's going to be okay. Yeah. I hear you. Okay. Well, maybe I think I just completely misunderstood. So your spiritual faith is important to you, but you're not a Christian. So this specifically Christian imagery of the crucifixion doesn't come from your specific religious tradition, but you're aware of it enough to know what it is, what it looked like, what happened. And it is interesting though that say you would be Muslim and your representation of this terrible mistake that upset the previously peaceful time and place came to you in this crucifixion idea of putting someone important to death, taking them out of the world. And I mean, the death of Jesus in that representation may have been directly inspired by the death of your grandmother, being someone who was a wise teacher, and she wasn't murdered, right? She just passed.
She passed away peacefully.
Yeah. I didn't, and so she wasn't. But I think there's probably something there of like the world took her away from you, in the same way the world took Jesus away, and things got worse afterwards.
Yeah, because I actually couldn't say goodbye for the last time because I was in the UK and she was back in the Middle East.
Gotcha.
Like the news, I received the news on the phone, and I wasn't there for the burial.
Okay. So you were physically separated, couldn't really come together with family to share that experience and say your final goodbyes. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it's all and not and the dreams goes like down from there. Like it gets worse and worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very much a fracturing of your world. This counts like your entire life. You've had this person you could rely on, and now they're gone, and the world is broken. The world is different. The world is not what it used to be.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Now I mean, does that make a lot of sense to you? Why that imagery would come?
yeah.
And okay,
It actually makes a lot of sense.
that's good. That's good. That's all we're
Just
trying to
like you
do.
said, like the different world, like uh, it's like the fractured skies. It's like a broken heart because I couldn't see them
Yeah,
when they were buried, stuff like that.
for sure. And then that brings us to, so we have kind of this three phase thing, like before the event, and then the consequences or outcome of the event. And that's the third dream, which we haven't even kind of come back to. So the face appears again. It takes you to now the consequences down the road, the after effect. And if we're
Yeah,
thinking this
the
is
downfall.
the downfall, and this is probably related to your most recent experiences as an after effect. What has your life now become after these events transpired? And it's taken you to a war. It's taken you to a familiar war. It's familiar, but it's different. It's not what you expected to see when you got there. There's characters there that are familiar but different. Also not what you expected, and that's surprising. Like, why are there this guy who's not the guy, and there's the vehicles, and they're weird, and there's these people, and it's the civilians, but that's not entirely human even. I think there's something relevant to all of these different aspects. I mean, I'd start with the idea that your touchstone, your reference point is the man looking out the window. This is the person you're having the interaction with, and it's literally Hitler. And but he's not Hitler. He's just Adolf the painter, and he's in this war that he didn't start, and he's not responsible for. And I think that's a significant difference too. And we were talking about that a little bit in terms of different choices having different outcomes, and even hopeful, aspirational parts of ourselves that even people who made terrible mistakes in the past could have been someone else if things had turned out differently.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you relate that to yourself in that regard of like, are you having those questions of who am I now, and who do I choose to be? Am I going to make a mistake that's going to turn me into someone I don't want to be?
Yeah, actually. Currently, I'm almost 6,000 miles away from family and really close friends. Like there's no one to turn to in the UK.
Yeah.
It feels like empty place for me, but I have to continue and move on, even if it's empty for me.
Okay.
It's just a taste, like it feels like bitter but sweet at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, there was a reason you moved there, and it's where you want to be or where you feel like you should be.
Yeah, to study.
Gotcha.
I'm here studying abroad.
Okay, you're there going to school, and that's a positive thing, even if it's difficult to
Yeah,
endure because separation from family, isolation. Um, yeah. So there is. I just had a thought there too, that this fractured world and now a fractured landscape, bombed out buildings, where people are peeking through curtains, and there's a lot of dead, and there's these weird machines moving around. Um, that may be representing your current world, where everything is broken compared to how it used to be. It was very predictable, stable, familiar where you're from. You go to a completely new place, and even if the buildings aren't actually destroyed, it's not the world you knew. And so you're seeing it
yeah,
as this place that is broken compared to what you would have had experienced in the past as normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense because this like last year I was living in the same place in the UK,
Hmm.
and this year but a different building.
Okay.
It just feels like before it felt like it was a bit normal. It felt like it's like an everyday life.
Okay.
But after the passing of my grandmother, it just felt like it's all bitter. I've lost all my confidence in my emotions, in myself.
Gotcha.
But even though I had to keep on pushing so I don't lose myself to depression.
Yeah, that is very important. In some ways, human beings are like sharks. We got to keep swimming. If we don't keep swimming, we just die. So
Yeah,
there's very much something important to that, the idea of you got to keep moving forward. Otherwise, stagnation is death, basically. So there's something important there. I don't know if you make anything of the idea that the particular um, group responsible for the destruction and the war itself in this most recent dream was called the Children of the Sun and Moon. Do those does that phrase mean anything to you? How do you what do you get from that when you think about it?
to be honest, I have no idea. It just felt like something wrong. Uh, like, in my opinion, it just felt wrong
Yeah.
to like say it like how, well, like who are these people? Why are they called the children of the sun and moon? Why is it? Why?
Yeah. There is something it's a very self-important sounding title. We are these people, and this is our title, and we're the children of the sun. It's like very self-important, like granting themselves the authority to start a war because it's justified because of who we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a bit correct.
Okay.
It just feels uh like how do I say it? It didn't feel like 100% an emotional thing. It just felt like pure an unadulterated instinct and rage. Because like when you see the bodies that I was talking about and the vehicles,
Hmm.
it's all blood everywhere, like on the
Yeah.
tanks, on the corpses.
And there is probably meaning to that idea of the contradiction between this self-important, self-aggrandizing title they gave themselves, and then look at what they did. They caused all this destruction of buildings and people, and everything's just ruined because these people thought they were right, and they're just hurting everyone. I think there's something in that concept to what you're experiencing lately.
Maybe self-destruction, like subconsciously.
It could be. It could also be maybe some elements of, I don't know, if culture clash resonates with you. I mean, you're coming to a new place where they do things very differently in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. And the people you're around are probably very certain that their way is right. And you're looking at it maybe as someone from who's an outsider, or at least from somewhere else, from a different cultural perspective. And you're like, yeah, but I don't, but that's not normal to me. And do you, again, I'm not trying to put ideas in your head, but there's
yeah. It
the thought,
doesn't feel like that.
okay. The thought occurred to me that there's some kind of culture clash might have happened where you're not hateful of, say, British people, but they do things very differently. And for their culture to be dominant, superior to the way you used to do things or what you're familiar with may feel constraining or may feel like it's breaking down the world you knew. I don't know if that's getting anywhere close to anything.
No.
Okay.
It just feels like when you see it, you can tell this they're doing it out of rage, anger,
Okay.
hate, stuff like that.
And that's not the
But
feeling you get about British folks. They're not
no,
trying to inflict anything hateful
they're
on you. Yeah.
they're the sweetest.
I know, right? Yeah. No, and I didn't mean to put that interpretation on top of it. I don't think you have any. I don't think this is coming from a place of disrespecting, say, British culture. I might have just been on the wrong track entirely.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
That culture clash can come up with some of these weird feelings where, even though there's nothing wrong with doing it a different way, it breaks down the stability of what you're familiar with in a way that looks like a crumbled world. That's nobody's fault. But what you got from these, the feeling of the motivation behind the Children of the Sun and Moon was they're out to do some harm. They're self-righteous in their goal, and they're gonna lay waste around them because they feel justified by whatever motivates them.
Yeah, just like even the vehicles that they're driving. You can see the splatter of blood.
Yeah.
You can see the corpses mangled. Some of them without heads. Some of them are partially decapitated. Stuff like that.
It's brutal.
It just feels like carnage.
Yeah. Well, you and I might have made a mistake in not following your lead. You said something about self-destructive depressive urges, and that might actually be a better explanation. I want to rule out the cultural clash thing first before I got back around to that, but there may be something to that where there's, key or a primary characteristic of depression is suicidal thoughts. So, and those suicidal thoughts are persistent and self-righteous in their own way. They're like, you should just die. This is hopeless. What are you waiting for? Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just commit this destruction?
That's actually the closest description to what it feels like.
Yeah.
The blue people that I was talking about.
Yeah.
They looked peaceful, even though they looked like way different than what we look like as humans.
Yeah.
But you can see they're getting massacred. You can see all their corpses on the ground.
Yeah.
And you can see the other vehicles, just driving, pushing things away from them. Oh, we don't care about this.
Just driving right over the corpses. Yeah.
That's so close. I don't. That's the best description we reached right now.
Yeah. I think so. You had a feeling of something important.
Yeah. What I think is from what you said about the depression and the suicidal thoughts. The suicidal thoughts, I've been having them for years. They're nonstop, every day, nonstop. But I just keep going through, even though when I'm smiling less, laughing less, being happy less. It just feels like it's killing my emotions slowly.
Yeah. And that this imagery you've got in your dream is a fantastic representation of how, if we say Children of the Sun and Moon are the suicidal thoughts, bam, and they want to destroy the world, and they want to destroy you. You are the world, and they're laying this waste, and they're killing the people. And there's something in there too. You describe them as the corpses, even though they're mangled, they're peaceful. Their problems are over. They're dead. One thing I like to tell folks about depression is that, or suicidal thoughts, is that they are not necessarily illogical. There's a logic to it. We were talking about putting your hand in a fire and the pain builds until you can't take it anymore and you pull your hand out. Suicide is kind of like pulling your hand out of the fire. Life is the fire. And when the pain gets bad enough, some people say, I'd rather be dead than feel this pain. That's a very logical choice. The pain will never stop. I have to stop the pain. Therefore, if my life is over, no more pain. Hey, good to go. So the only flaw in that logic is the assumption that the pain will never stop or can never be fixed or can never be decreased. That isn't always true. Sometimes it is. Sometimes life is really hard and really tough, and we suffer horribly, all of us, to varying degrees. So anyway, the choice makes sense, even if you say maybe we shouldn't do that, or it's not a good idea, or there's another path.
For me, so when I want to push down my suicidal thoughts, I would think about, even if I go through with it, what will happen to my parents, my brothers, my family, my friends, people who are close to me. They will feel even more pain.
Yeah.
Why would I cause them even more pain because of me? I would just continue living with it till it's done. Maybe it will be a better future.
Yeah, for sure. Holding out hope. Hope is a big thing. Just rolling back a little bit and taking a slightly different take on the progression of the dreams is so the first one, the older time place, saw a Colosseum, peaceful, smelled like flowers. This may represent you in your childhood just being a happy kid. Maybe that's one idea. And if we follow that, the crucifixion motif may have been, that may actually be you contemplating your own death and it being a choice. You can crucify Jesus, you can crucify yourself by committing suicide or not. And that may have represented looking at, if I do this, it will break the world. The horns will sound, the sky will crack, everything's over. And literally your life is over. And then the third dream, what does the fallout? What does the future look like afterwards? It destroys the world. These self-righteous children of the sun and moon that represent my suicidal urges will just destroy the world around me after I'm gone and leave corpses metaphorically everywhere and destruction in my wake. How does that feel when you think about it that way?
It feels like the crucifixion part. It doesn't feel like I'm that important to be crucified like that.
Sure.
But it's like what I felt like it's like something important inside of me died.
Gotcha.
And things went south after that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense too. This is just I like looking at things from different angles, and sometimes one makes more sense than the other. But I think the way you characterize is very important and actually fits with what I was kind of what I was going for. Is this idea that some part of you represented by Jesus in that imagery, or the death of Jesus, is like this terrible event that has consequences. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're looking at. But then kind of the third part of like the fallout of the terrible event being a broken world left behind.
That's why I said it's a fallout, because the second dream, it's happened like a month after my grandma passed away.
Yeah.
So that like one last shred of hope just like is gone. And the fallout is like my suicidal urges and thoughts are swooping up.
Yeah. And it would make it worse.
That's how it felt like.
One thing that helps people cope and survive is family support or other support networks that that keep us inspired, give us people to turn to when we're having negative thoughts or when we need help solving a problem. And knocking out those supports is like taking the legs off a table. It can't stay up.
I'm actually thankful that I actually had people to fall down on.
Yeah.
My parents, my brothers, my family, and my friends worldwide.
That is good. Yeah.
I'm thankful for that.
One thing I wanted to ask you is, do you have a local mosque? Are you involved in a local community?
No, but I'm a solo prayer.
Okay.
It's how do I say it? It's easier for me
Sure.
to pray alone, and I can take my time without rushing.
Gotcha.
I can without making any mistakes by accident,
Sure.
or maybe the person who is praying with us prays faster, and you can't enjoy the prayer.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, there's two different things working there. One is the method, the style that is best for you, how you feel most satisfied with the experience, and you feel you're doing it correctly for you. The other side of it is having community support, a community of people that you belong with, and that can also lend you extra support. So maybe because of your particular style of religious practice, that is, joining a mosque is not going to provide that. It'll be more stressful than helpful.
Yeah.
But I would definitely, so I'm getting around to kind of what do you do with suicidal thoughts, and because I want to be helpful in that regard too. By the way, for people watching in my about section on the webpage, there's the in America, the National Suicide Hotline, the National Alliance on the Mentally Ill. You can go there if anyone's having suicidal thoughts and depression and you don't know what to do about it.
Please talk to someone.
Talk to someone, anyone. Tell them how you're feeling. Get the ball rolling, and don't be ashamed of it. I've been on medication for.
Don't be ashamed.
Yeah, I've been on medication for depression and anxiety for like 10, 15 years now. It's just the way it is. And I also wanted to ask you about that too. Have you consulted any medical professionals? Is that a path you're comfortable with or allowed to under your religious restrictions? I don't know for sure.
It's allowed in my religion, but
okay.
It didn't feel safe with me because the medication that they would give me might change me to the worse.
Fair enough.
With the withdrawals. That's what I'm scared of.
And these are reasonable concerns. You, in some ways, you're not going to know unless you try. So if it ever came down to the idea that you're gonna kill yourself, you're gonna die, or you're gonna try a medication and you don't know if it's gonna work, I would give it a try. So if anything ever got that bad, I would definitely go see a doctor. Just some general advice in terms of seeking medical care. I would say, unless you are actually planning something, you want to be sure to tell the professional, look, I have these thoughts. I'm not going to act on them. I'm not in immediate danger, but I want these thoughts to stop. That's what I'm here for. If you go and tell them, I want to kill myself, I'm going to do it, then you might get committed to a hospital. And some people should be temporarily admitted for observation because they are legitimately at risk of following through. Most people, they just want help to make the thoughts stop. They're not in immediate danger. They're not going to act on them, but they're not pleasant and they're a major disruption to your life. So be sure if you talk to a doctor, you draw that distinction. Yes, I have these thoughts. No, I'm not going to act on them. And then that helps them determine what specific help is best.
I will do that because they're currently just thoughts.
Yeah.
And every time these thoughts are gets worse and worse, I would ask for help from friends or call my therapist for help.
Yeah. That's good. At least you got someone you can talk to. That's a big deal, especially a therapist. A lot of times there's medicational stuff, and that sometimes that's the only thing that works. But for most people, there are definitely, just like life events can cause us pain, we can also take action within life to fix problems. Yeah. So there's behavioral changes maybe we make in our lives where you're not happy at a job. Go work a different job. Maybe then your life gets better because now you're happier doing a different kind of work. If you're just miserable because of your situation, change the situation. Maybe the miserable stops and now you feel better. You no longer feel such urges of being trapped, hopeless. Death is the only way out. So make those behavioral changes first, if you can. And then sometimes there's no cause. Like with depression, it's really weird. There's clinical depression, biological, chemical depression is my life should be great by all accounts. I got money, I got friends, I got relationships, I got all the material things I need. I'm healthy as a horse. People love me and I'm miserable. That makes no sense. That's like real clinical depression. And that's what was going on with me, where like I made all the life changes I could to get better, to change my life for the better. And then I got to a point where I should feel like things are pretty good and I don't. I just hate it. I hate it all. I don't want to do any of this. And so I went to see a doctor and I got on the meds and I'm like, hey, life's okay. This is okay. I can do this. So for me, that was a big difference. And I hope anyone needs it, gets exactly that kind of help.
Yeah, please get help.
Yeah.
It's not shameful. It's not as bad as you think.
Mm-hmm.
If you need immediate help, just contact them.
For sure.
They won't shame you.
Yeah. Oh no.
Believe me.
Medical professionals really good about that stuff. Well, coming back to the dream itself, do you feel like we figured out some important things? Is there any elements that you think we didn't talk about or understand as well as we should?
No, actually, to be honest, that felt 100% like a satisfying answer.
Very good.
Like what we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here to share it with us. I think it took us to a very important place, and I hope that people listening get something important out of it and get the hope and the motivation they need to look at themselves and their situation and do positive things about it. So why don't we do this? Why don't I'll wrap it up and we'll talk for a few minutes afterwards. And in the meantime, I'll just say to people, hey, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Dreamscapes. Thanks to our guest Gunnar for taking us along on this journey. And we'll see y'all next time.